Hey, everybody. We know that 90-minute podcasts aren't everybody's cup of tea on YouTube, and that means sometimes you don't make it through the whole episode or don't even want to try to tackle an entire episode. So what we're going to test out and see if you like it is breaking down a major theme or a section of some of the episodes and putting them out as shorter videos so they're easier to digest. So this is from the last episode, the mailbag episode we did, and it's a section on the left-hand side attacking options, one that I think is a pretty important topic in the coming weeks. We now potentially have four great options. Nani Madueke has looked great for England. Gabriel Martinelli playing okay for Brazil. Leo Trossard is still there, one of our most important players of the last few seasons. And now we've got Eberechi Eze. So it's a lot for the manager to have to decide on, and we're going to get to see what he thinks of it. But we spoke about that with a bit of an emphasis on Martinelli's position in particular. So we'll give you that now. We've got a Liverpool rewatch and Friday Night Live coming up on the Patreon if you want to join us there. But I'll turn it over to this section of the episode, and you can tell us in the comments if you like having a broken down portion of the show like this, and we'll be doing them more often if you do. Clive, I'm not going to ask you the emotional question. I'm not going to do that to you. How about this? With Eze, Martinelli, and Trossard vying for the left wing position alongside Nani Madueke when Saka's fit, which one will get the least amount of minutes? It's pretty crowded over there, isn't it? Who's the odd man out? They can't all share the role, nor would we want them to. There's going to be a clear hierarchy. How do you see the odd man out developing there?
Well, in the short term, maybe Trossard will be the false nine. With Kai Havertz been out for how many weeks? It depends on what you read. So
12.
I think he's going to drop into that. So you could say, if I'm answering the question exactly or precisely, he'll be the odd man out. And football changes very, very quickly. So Martinelli's in the mud right now. Susie gets a shot on target. We'll all say, Martinelli's, he's not a bad player. And I'll be there.
When will he do that, do you think? I'm just kidding.
But as soon as he beats someone and goes past from the 60 top corner, he'll just come back. And that's the key, and the key is just to keep trusting them, even though they're struggling. You've got to keep trusting them and hope they turn it around. At the moment, we all want to see Eze, so the answer is Eze will get the most minutes, and Madueke looks very strong at the moment, very strong. He had a good game for England. And what I do like about him is he sees the running behind, and he just goes, and he almost forces the pass. And I think Madueke is almost telling Martinelli how to do it. How to sort of stay in the player on the bullseye line, tell him what you want, and make your actions so definite that the ball has to come. And I think, whenever I talk to players, I always say the same thing. If you want the ball that way, tell people you want it that way. Go and speak to them. Tell them you want it over. I'm going to give you the eye contact, but I'm spinning, I'm going. Too many times I see Martinelli running and not getting the ball. Who do you want to blame? I don't really care. You're on the pitch for a finite mere period of time. You maximise it as a player. And make sure everyone knows what you want, and keep making their runs. When they don't give you the ball, give them a rollicking, and that's it. And this is elite football. You might have two of those runs a game. You can't waste them, by being a secret, So yeah, I think Martinelli may struggle at the moment, but that could change in a week. He's playing for Brazil right now, looking a little bit better against lower quality opposition, builds his confidence. But I think Martinelli probably be the one that miss out at the moment, Elliot. But one of our listeners did a great question. I hope you're not going to ask it, but I saw it come through. And something that Paul said last week, I thought was really good. When Gyökeres was fading in that game at Liverpool, we sort of took Martinelli off. Well, actually, should we have moved Martinelli to centre forward to keep them back? Rather than a fading threat in Gyökeres where you're still not fit enough, we kept him on. By bringing on Eze for Gyökeres maybe, and you still got a sprinter down the middle, and that would have made them think maybe, and make it a bit more active, because I think he's fitter at the moment. I thought it was a really good question. So will Martinelli be a late game centre forward? But again, Trossard is fit now, so we got all the options, haven't we? So I thought it was a really good assessment. Paul, you raised it first. I think one of our questioners did it last week as well.
Well, Paul, then I'm going to ask you a tricky question, and maybe one that you just dismiss out of hand. We'll find out, I guess, together. Big Red Arsenal at bigredarsenal.bsky.social says, the majority of the criticism for Martinelli's flatlining performances has been directed at the player himself, but do you think Mikel and his coaching staff might be getting off lightly? We had a world-class talent. Do you think we could have developed it differently in terms of role or position?
Just that seems like an easy out for the player, and I think I've been very supportive of Martinelli along the way. I think there's a much better player than the player we've seen. And like generally I see with him a very positive mentality, whether he's starting or not starting. I never see like, Trossard can look a little sulkier, a little bit more nose out of joint if he's not on the pitch or proving it. You never get that with Martinelli. So I think he's one of those guys who's done a remarkably good job at keeping his head clear and positive. Now, obviously, he's struggling a little bit with confidence and his own game. And kind of something I said the last time we talked about him, there was a time we used to talk, Tim would talk about how he used to play the street football thing from Brazil, and that's where you get these tricks and you do these things. You'd be like, ooh, where did that come from? Well, where did it go to? So there is a confidence aspect of it, but at the end of the day, the player has to do it. And I don't think you get a lot of vibes that Mikel doesn't look to give players a platform to play, and the support and we had Carlos, what's his face was the. We win the dog, for God's sake. We had, was it Cuesta? What was the name? Cuesta. Right, there you go. Like he was the guy who'd sit down with you and make you feel good and talk to you about your feeling. Like I don't get any sense that this is an environment where you don't get the support, the coaching, the understanding of what's going on. He's had a lot of opportunities. I don't think he's always had the left side build up that would suit his game. And I kind of think, but like time starts to run out. He used to be a bit of a shot monster. Now he is not. When we're playing in transition, his head isn't up enough. And a lot of those things are confidence things, making the choices. And it may just be that the best thing for him is having him and Eze competing and sharing games, opportunities, a little bit of heat off him. And maybe he can play more than one role, as we talked about. Maybe he's the left wing, but also a guy who can come on at 70 minutes, or games where we're pushed back and counter-attacking and we need a guy to streak up the pitch. Run in behind, but I do think he needs to kind of take a little bit of a step back, re-find himself. But no, I don't get the vibe at all that in Martinelli's case that he hasn't had the support, the coaching, the wherewithal to be effective and successful for us.
Yeah, don't want to burn this guy to death, but I think he's probably been suffered due to us changing. And so, without mentioning the word toothpaste, but you know what I mean by our back line coming up the pitch.
We've moved on to pancake analogies now, Clive. I don't know if you've been following.
But that's indicative of our back line squeezing up the pitch, right? And the higher we've got, the less space we're playing in. And what is Martinelli? Is he a big space player or is he a small space player? He's a big space player. So now we're asking him to develop in small spaces and become an intricate dribbler. Well, you know what? Trossard and Eze are better at that, aren't they? They're better in small spaces. They like to trick people, see where they are, feel them, and create combinations in small areas. And so our game has changed. When he arrived into our team, we were this young team travelling up the pitch with two 21-year-olds on the outside, sprinting their hearts out. Nobody tripled them. You know what I mean? No one tried to kick them, and we just went up the pitch. Saka would give him the ball quickly, and he could just run free, my son, run free. They haven't worked us out yet. And then suddenly we got better, and we squeezed the life out of teams. Now we're giving him the ball. And soon he gets the ball, he looks up, and there's Kieran Trippier ready for him. And right behind him is Bruno, if you get past him. And right behind him is Fabian Schär. Got to get past all three of them, son, and get a crossing on your wrong foot. The game's changed. And he has to develop. And so my theory with him was always move off the ball. Give it and go. But go hard. in behind the centre forward, because that creates your transition game. It's like a mini transition, but you've got to be a movement player, not a static player. Now people say, that's the manager, Clive, he's coached it out of him. Well, I don't think it is. I think we've got better and he's suffered for it. But who else has suffered for it? Zinchenko's suffered for it because we exposed that left back a lot. He's suffered, hasn't been able to go with it. Other players have not been able to go with it, not been able to defend man for man at the back, so they've gone. You know, midfielders that can't get around the pitch like Zambia and then create duels and get it and give it, they're gone. You know, and that's what happens. Smith Rowe wasn't able to physically do what we want him to do off the ball in particular. He's gone. You know, so it's just natural evolution. It's hard because we like them all. You know, Paul's got a Smith Rowe shirt. He told me at the live do. I'm sure he'd like to see him play. Every time he comes on for Fulham and does well, we all think, oh, he's a good player. You know, but we've gone somewhere else, right? We've got Declan Rice doing that job on the left-hand side. We've got Madueke running up and down. And they're stronger, more powerful, more execution, I'm afraid. And it's the nature of the game, right? So Martinelli, I hope he comes back. Cause I've killed him a lot. I don't want to kill him, but he's got work to do.
Can I add a bit? Yeah. The challenge from, like, Clive made a great point about, you know, if the opponent is sitting in, Eze is the kind of trickier, more creative option from the left. The other problem Martinelli has is Eze is bloody brilliant on the counter-attack or transition football. So, like, it's like both types of games, both game states show off Eze's real strength. And Eze's super heads up, right? He's looking around at his options. He's very cool with the ball when the heat's on, which is something we haven't always seen in transition. So, look, Martinelli has his work cut out for him. But it's an opportunity for him to learn, and there are different players for him to combine with, and Gyökeres peels to the left, so Martinelli can maybe move to the inside. I think the one place he has a bit of a superpower is alternating from the left to central when we have enough movement. Like those runs in behind central, while Gyökeres are kind of like the red arrows, a military aircraft, Elliot. And the patterns they form, like they can red arrows it on the left. He needs to develop some partnerships and relationships with Calafiori charging up. That's his challenge. He can't do it on his own. And especially now that opponents have kind of figured him out, he's got to build these new partnerships with Calafiori, with Gyökeres, with whoever the most common left eight, probably Declan Rice is in this scenario. But that's with Declan maybe sitting back a little bit more with Zubimendi and them interchanging. There's space up there for them to form new patterns, and that's his challenge. That's what he's going to have to do.
Few things here. And this is undoubtedly the section people are going to hate the most, even more than Elliot talks about the England national team, if you can believe it. There are two things that a player wants to do when they decide to become a professional footballer. One is earn enough money to support themselves and their family for a lifetime. And two is achieve personal glory, or, glory for themselves and the team they play for. Martinelli has achieved objective one. He came to Arsenal for £5 million as a teenager, and he now earns enough money that he will never have to work again. He has achieved some glory. He plays for the Brazil national team, pulls on the Brazil shirt. As a teenager from Ituano, making a £5 million speculative move, that may not have been something he dreamt of being I'm sure he dreamt of it being in his future. None of us would have expected it, and he's gotten there. Gabriel Martinelli is a stunning success as a player. And whether his future is with Arsenal or not, he is a success, period, end of story, for all the things players want, maybe except for that last little piece of glory, and that may still be out there for him. But we cannot demand success of our manager and our club and at the same time have sacred cows who we just keep waiting for and just keep saying, well, if the manager had used him differently, if we'd trained it, if we had just tried him in this other position, those things might all be true. But you know what else might be true? We have to move to a new era at that position. And that player, no matter how talented, may not be the fit for it for us to achieve what we want. And by the way, this is the pancakes waffles things. People will say, oh, you'll say that about Martinelli, but not Odegaard. You like pancakes. Why don't you like waffles? Odegaard's a different conversation. We can have that one too. That's not the one we're having. We're having this one. Right now, Gabriel Martinelli is a very talented player who makes a fabulous wage at a huge club. He's been a huge success, but I'm not convinced at this point that we can get to the level we want to get if we are relying on him regularly at that position. It is not killing him or his talent, and it may well prove that the manager failed him or all the things people want to say. But for me, we cannot demand the level of success we are demanding and also have sacred cows. You could say we should have been more patient with Fabio Vieira. There's a talent in there. We should have been more patient with Sambi Lakanga. There's a talent in there. This is top-level football, and unfortunately, it's ruthless. And it is the waiting too long that costs you more than the going too soon. My biggest criticism with Eddie Nketiah is that we waited too long. The 11 games we started him 2 seasons ago might be the difference between us and Mikel having a Premier League title. So you have to kill your darlings, as we say. You cannot have these players who have a privileged position of just being in the team, and there may be others in our team that you feel that way about, but I don't want to go too much further on this topic, Clive, but I'll give you just a final word on this, which is simply, it is not killing a player to say that they are talented, but that at this time in our evolution, we may be at a point where their ability to take us to where we want to go has run its course to some extent.
That could well be the case, earlier, and you said that beautifully. And it's hard, right? Because we like these players generally, right? And all of us here would love to see this player shoved his right up our throats. Absolutely.
Clive, I
would.
made a mug about him. We made a shirt about him. I loved this, but he was like my boy. You know?
But there's also a lot of people that expect Arsenal to win something this season, and that is taking priority in many people's minds, right? So. And there are many people, internal and external, saying we've got to win one of the league or the Champions League. Well, one we've never won, and the other one we haven't won for 20 plus years. But we've got to win it this season. And by the way, the other teams are spending money, and it's like we have no competition. We have to win it this season. And for that to be the case, then we have to accept that we're going to have to improve certain position, which we have done. And we have said to the outside world, we've signed 8 players. And in our minds, because we are so nice as fans, it's a good squad now, we've got the depth we need. Has anybody thought for a second that actually a majority of those 8 might actually play a lot of games? Because the guys that were in the position to win didn't quite do it, weren't robust enough. It's all on the table, right? We've done this for a reason. We've done this for a reason, to try to win and to create a competitive environment, to create that extra edge. And I'm here to see how it all unfolds. And Martinelli is part of that picture. And if he either steps up, or I'm afraid, it's like for anybody else, he won't play, right? Simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, and just so we're clear, right? There's an idea of like, hey, support the players. Of course. When I go to the ground, I sing my heart out for every player that's out there and support the players. In terms of wanting to see them succeed, of course. But analysis is analysis. And I think in your analysis, you have to discuss what's best for the club to achieve the things it wants to achieve. And we have 4 options in that position now. And that is a situation that is going to create a lot of pressure.
And if we win the Premier League, kind of none of these players are going to care, right? If you're a role like Edu wasn't invincible, he didn't start every game. If Martinelli's career moves on and he goes to another club, but he leaves as a Premier League winner, it's going to be great for him. Now, I'm not wishing him at the door. I hope he takes that step up to where we saw him. And at the end of the day, look, if you win, everybody's going to be happy. Even Trossard will be walking around with a smile on his face. So,
well, let's not write fan fiction.
So, this is the season we really, really go for it, and not everybody's going to be a starter.
Okay, that'll do it for this shortened episode. Let us know what you think of it. I'm sure you will anyway. So we'll get your feedback, and we'll see if these are worth doing again in the future, but I hope you think they are. We love you, and we will talk to you after Arsenal 10. Forest No.